Welcome into the Piles of Paragraphs creative space. I'm Lori, and today I am going to make a blizzard fold binding for the index card, or some of the index cards that I've been working on. So this is what we're headed towards. At least the binding part is. This is one cover idea I have, and I also have another one, but I will do that in another video. So I've got our index cards. Just jump in. Actually, I should say, I hope everyone's doing well today and has had a chance to do something creative, or will have a chance to do something creative. We'll say this project has been a little challenging for me, but I'm really excited now. I think I've got it. I think I've got it so it works, and it works well. So let's get going and see how I do. So I've got a piece of scrapbook paper. It's printed just on one side, and it is 12 inches by, what did I decide, 4.5. And so this is to make the little pockets so that the index cards fit in. This one's a little bit different size. It was before I quite worked out the sizing I needed it to be. So you can also do this. We can do this with kind of really any kind of paper that you have. And but I thought it might be easier for me to show you on one that has a plain side and a printed side. So that's why I'm using this. And it's the scrapbook paper, like the Hobby Lobby weight. It's thicker than like a 20-pound copy paper, but it's definitely not cardstock, but it is a little heavier. I don't know what the weight is on those, and I don't think they say. So anyway, a good quality scrapbook paper is what I say. You can also use wrapping paper, my favorite brown paper that comes in all those little boxes that come to our house, that kind of stuff you can also use too. But today, this is what I'm going to use. So to start, the basis of the blizzard fold is a series of folds. Blizzard binding is a series of folds. Okay, I'm just going to get into this and stop just chitter-chattering. But I will tell you, I have to concentrate when I do this, so I might be quiet quite a bit during this video. So basically, what we're doing is a concertina fold. If you've ever done a concertina journal, that's fan fold is what we used to call them when we were kids. We'd make a fan out of paper. This is along those lines, at least to my mind. I know every different art in this paper world has its own language or its own vocabulary, so maybe fan fold isn't right, but concertina fold I think is. But I always feel like I say that word wrong. So anyway, so we're gonna fold the paper in half, and then we're gonna fold those halves in half, then we're gonna fold those halves in half, and then we're gonna fold those halves in half. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of folding. And you do need to be I won't say precise, but I will say mindful, and you want it to be as close to straight folds and lined up with the line your new folds up with the old folds. Oh, that was hard for me to say. But you need to be vigilant and mindful while you're doing this, I think. I've made a ton of these trying to get the proportions correct, and every time I think, oh, I've got this, I can just kind of zip through. No. You need to be paying attention, lining things up. And I'm not the best at being super precise. I do live in the land of ish, so I can make new challenges for myself by getting ahead of my skills. So it's just better if you're mindful of what you're working on and not distracted by Bunty the cat, who just came and got in the window. His brother's going to get in his bed over there. Okay, all good. So this is what we have so far. We need to do, in order to hold 12 index cards, which is my goal, and I think I forgot to say that. My goal is to have 12 pockets to slide the index cards in, And so it's index card on this side, index card on this side. So that's what we're heading for. So, okay. And when you get to this stage, it gets really easy to get kind of a funny crease in your paper. So if you kind of take it with your fingers and roll it up, I think is the term people use, so that you don't make a crease before you really want a crease. It'll make it a nicer fold. This. And then again, roll it. And that's where the thinner paper, if you were using copy paper, you probably wouldn't have that little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit softer, but this has just enough heft to it to where the rolling kind of comes in handy. And you can use something if you have something round on your desk. Sometimes I use this giant, pardon my reach, this giant knitting needle to round things. That's a little big for this project, but something along those lines if you find you're struggling with the rounding idea. And I'm sure that probably also has something to do with the grain of the paper. So if that's something you know about, then maybe if I had cut this the other direction, it might be a little easier. I don't know. I'm always trying to make the most out of the paper that I have, which is kind of crazy because, we all know I have too much of everything. So it was funny for me to go back and look for scrapbook paper because I got rid of a whole bunch of scrapbook paper last year because I never used it for anything. And so I took it and donated it to the Ark. And so I was having to dig around and see what I have. So this little pearl paper was in my stash. I used to buy those mixed packages of paper from Hobby Lobby all the time, but I don't do that anymore. So this last one is kind of the most challenging because you've got the thickness of all the papers underneath. Try to line it up along one edge, and then along this edge, and then here we go. So now we have our little concertina fold, or our fan fold as I think about it. Okay, so now this part is very important, and this part keeps tripping me up. So I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it 3 times. More for myself, or as much for myself as for you. When you have your fold like this, have your folded edges to the right, and I'm going to say open edges because this part's open to the left. Okay? Because if you do it the other direction, you'll end up with the wrong number of pockets. So the folded parts to the right, this open part here to the left. Okay? All right, one more time. Folded part to the right, open part to the left. Okay. Once again, I say this is much for me as for you. I cannot tell you the number of these things that I've made. And suddenly I had extra pockets and I could not figure out what I had done. But I had started folding from the wrong side. So now for this part, I like to use a bamboo skewer. I do have fingernails, so you can use your fingernails. But something pointy, bamboo skewer, one of these pencils, but I would put the lead in. Just something to kind of hold on to the point so that you get a little bit crisper fold. And I found this works pretty well for me. And I like to fold up. You may like to fold down, but for whatever reason, I like to fold up. So I take the point of the bamboo skewer and put it right on the corner, and then kind of roll this corner up So what you want to do is line this edge with this edge. And I know this is kind of small and fiddly, but I wanted to do this with 12-inch paper because I figured many people would have 12-inch paper. All of the instructions and stuff that I found called for like 28-inch paper, you know, really, really long papers, which are hard to find. Easier to work with though, because you're going to end up with bigger sections. But anyway, we are using the 12 by 4.5-inch piece of paper. So once again, just put your point there and start rolling this. And then once I feel like I've got the point pretty solid, then I'll flip it around and fold. So we're folding this edge up to this fold, okay? So this is what the first one looks like. Oops. Yes, you want to make sure you don't go over the fold because it'll mess up your end result. So see, this is what we have. The little corners folded in. Same thing for all of these folds. So like I said, this is a bit boring and tedious, and I would love to just like zip through to the end and say, look, this is what it's like after you finish. I think it's really important that I go through every step with you on this, because I'm going to assume most of you have not done anything like this. I hadn't. I just saw it and thought, oh, that's really cool. I want to do that. And of course, then I had to figure out how to do it so it would have 12 pockets, because I have a project that I made 12 index cards for. So I had to do the paper engineering, if you will. Okay, there. Adjust my glasses. They're sliding down on my nose, and then that means I'm seeing out of a different. I'm still adjusting to my glasses. Yes, I am. But that's okay. I'm wearing them. And I like them. I'm still adjusting. I think it's going to take me a while. For those of you who didn't see that, one of the videos I've talked about in the past, I went from single vision to trifocals this time, so that I can see everything. Or sometimes see nothing. I do much better when I fold up. So the point in, fold towards that fold there. Try to keep it nice and straight. There we go. Okay. Once again, I'm going to remind myself to be mindful and not try to jump ahead and not be thinking of 6 other things while you're doing this. Generally, I like crafting that lets me just relax and create and that, but this, it's worth it in the end, in my opinion. I think it's a cool binding, and it's certainly different than like the 3-hole pamphlet stitch that I often do, or the 5-hole pamphlet stitch that I do. I mean, this is like bordering on origami, and I cannot do origami. My husband can fold very precisely. He can do that. He doesn't anymore. He used to do a little bit, but he doesn't anymore. But I don't know. I just, as we know, the land of Ish is where I reside. Okay, let's get that started. And I'm sorry, I know this is a lot of flipping back and forth. I hope I am where you can see me, to do this over and over and over and over again. But it's worth it. It is. And of course, if you were doing one that didn't have as many pockets, it wouldn't be quite this involved. And I did think about doing my video showing it that way, but I think it's I want to do my kind of start to finish little projects, so I think it's better for me to do it in the actual size that I want. And I have seen instructions for where you make whole little books that have much bigger pockets for you to put stuff in, like artist trading cards or business cards, which they're very cool. Once again, long piece of paper. Challenge for me. I mean, I have paper on rolls, but trying to cut it straight, I found to indeed be a challenge. The joyful thing about the 12 by 12 scrapbook paper is my paper cutter will cut it at 4.5. I can put it right in there and cut it to 4.5. So if you were not challenged by such things, I suggest you look. I will try to remember to link some of the blizzard folding videos that I've watched. And then the book I talked about on my channel, it's been quite a while ago now, at the beginning of the year, I think, I think it's called The Art of the Fold. What's behind me? Yes, The Art of the Fold. Has a nice section in it about doing the blizzard books, and even a blizzard box. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of stuff you can do. So okay. Now, when I get to this, because this is a little bit thicker paper, I do tend to kind of set this up. Not kind of, I set this edge up to make it easier to get the fold to the other fold, the corner up to the fold, because it gets kind of wiggly when you get towards the end here and it's thicker paper. Like I said, the copy paper, if you happen to have some legal size copy paper, works really great. Okay, so here's where we are so far. We have all these corners folded this way. Okay, so now after all that, we're going to take these corners and we're going to unfold them all. And then we're going to go back and fold them all the other direction. So hopefully you're still with me. I am not saying anything earth-shattering, so I guess you put me on a faster speed and then mute me, because I don't imagine I'd sound a bit like Minnie Mouse on double speed. I don't know. I talk fast enough as it is. Okay, so now we've got it back to this again. I'm going to take each of these and fold them this way. No, I have to do it. I have to do it up. I'm sorry, it's just how my brain works. You are welcome to do it however works best for you. Oops. Let's see, now I gotta get started again, and getting started again is a little bit, sometimes a little challenging with this little bit thicker paper. I do want to try this with some of that green paint masking paper one of these days, because I think that would be kind of fun. And it's thinner, also on a roll, so you know, there we go. I'd have the challenge of having to cut it. Let's see. You do have a little bit of wiggle room when you go back to doing this way, if you find they're not quite lined up, because I think we're looking at the other side now. So as long as you don't go over the fold, because then it bends your corners, you're good. And you can see a little bit of white here, so obviously I'm not perfect, so mine are not going to be perfect when we're done. This is the imperfect process when I'm involved, but it's okay. It doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, then you can be more precise than I am. So I think it's probably better for me not to use my bone folder at each fold, but I really want to press it down with my fingers there. That'll work. So get these all See, this is about when I get tired of doing this and I think, oh, I want to jump ahead. Nope, nope. Stay in the moment. Be mindful. The whole process shouldn't take more than, a half hour, which is way longer than, a 3-hole pamphlet stitch binding, but this is just something different. Once again, I'm not getting my corners too sharp. There are my points very sharp. Better if you do. World does not end if you don't. So do this up. It does make it easier, this last one, to do that. Okay, so now we have, this is what we have. Whoopsie, shoot it across the room. Okay, now find the beginning. Whoops, where is it? I've lost my beginning. Well, I know it's here. What did I do with it? Here it is, okay. So we're going to take these and we're going to unfold these all yet again. I promise, the end is near, the end is near. Okay, I'm gonna flatten them all back out. So now we're back to this again, okay? So, now we're gonna take these and I'm holding my hand like this, and I'm going to hold one of the folds together, and then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to push this corner in. The first one is the hardest, and make sure that you get this point here as sharp as you can. And really, this is another part where I always want to jump ahead. It's so much easier if you just bring the whole fold up, open one end, push it in, grab hold of that end, open up this end, fold it in. I always think I can do it without that step, but I find this to be the best way. Bring this fold up, open an end, make sure you've got your nice point there, hold that end, open up this end. Okay, well, I hope that makes sense. It makes sense to me. And that's all I can, really, that's all I can attest to. I did have one of my friends, my friend Chris. Hey, Chris, if you're watching, watch another video that I did where I ended up with the wrong number of pockets, just to see if I was making sense. She seemed to think I am. So, of course, Chris, nice lady, she speaks Lori, so not everyone does. So, bring up the fold in the corners, bring up the fold, open one end, push this in, make sure your point is nice, open the other end, make sure your point is nice, move it to this end, open it up, fold it in, and fold it in. Okay, so now we have this, and all of and this is the other side. As you can see, that's where we are now, okay? So now we're going to take this first fold and flip it open. And since I like to fold up, there's going to be a lot of flipping back and forth. You bring this point up to the center fold here and just try to make it as straight. And this is when, if you fold it a little wonky, like obviously I did, it's going to be a little more challenging. Once you get started, it's a little bit easier, but there's the fold, and you want the point here to be right on that fold or as close to it as you can get. Okay, so we can see my wonky folding front and center here with that little white space. Okay, so now we're going to fold this over, and we're going to fold this one up to the center fold with that little point. up to the center fold. Oh, I really did fold wonky. It's less noticeable if you use solid color paper. But, you know, you just have to forgive me. Well, you don't have to forgive me. It just is. There are just some things in life you can't help. And I try. And it's not that I haven't practiced. I have made about, oh golly, I don't know, more than a dozen of these trying to get this right. So in my case, practice doesn't make perfect, but I did at least finally get the number of pockets right again. I taught myself how to do this back in January, and I should have done this video then, and I didn't. And I forgot how to do it. And so it has taken me lots and lots and lots of time to figure it out again. Okay, oops, I'm sorry. My glasses are sliding, so now I'm getting blurry. Okay. And yes, I know I can get my glasses tightened, although I'm a little hesitant to do that because I do use these to drive. And when I drive, I slide them down on my nose a little bit so that I'm only looking through the distance part. So, okay. We're getting there. We're getting there, I promise. I've been making lots of promises, haven't I? I should stop that. Okay. This one, fold up. This one, ooh, this one's really up. Okay. Fold up, fold over. We have our last little one here, which we can fold over like this. And then I'll show you how to fix that in a second. But this is where we are now. These are going to be the part that you're going to attach to your cover. So I like to take them, and then I just fold this little square in. Hi, Bunty. Be a good boy. Like this. So it makes a straight-ish edge. Obviously, I didn't do a very good job there. You can also cut these off, I think, but I just leave them on for a little extra strength. Okay. So it's not going to be perfectly straight, but close-ish. Fold this corner in, open that up. Fold this corner in. And there it is. There is our little blizzard fold binding. Okay, here's a, I wanted to call this a postcard, an index card. So the index cards go in here, and with this 4.5-inch paper, they fit nice and snug. I was doing it 5 inches, and they were very wiggly, but 4.5 it holds it in really nicely. So then we will attach our covers to this. But that's it for now. Let me show it to you again. Here's the outside, here's the back, and then I have the pearl paper on the inside to flip it during the process if you want that on the outside, but I think I've decided I like the white on the outside. It lets me be a little more adventurous with my covers. So anyway, there we go. There's our little blizzard fold, and it's going to hold a dozen of the index cards. So I thank you for joining me. If you're still here, thanks so much. And if you enjoyed this video, and I sincerely hope you did, please give me a thumbs up. I would love it if you would make a comment. Let me know what you think of this process, or let me know if you think you might try it. And then I will do another video where I will actually attach the covers and put my index cards in. So I will say thank you for joining me today, and bye-bye for now.